Okay, I lied in the last one. We're not starting the essay today. I forgot. There's another part to the evidence analysis piece of this, and that's really getting into descriptions and comparisons as evidence. And because those are two of the major methods of development in the argument unit, this lesson or these types I give their own lesson to this, and this will set students up for the final notebook writing assignment of the unit, the last of those informal writing things. And this one I think is maybe my favorite of all five. I also want to take this opportunity to talk about sourcing articles for your classes and just some strategies I've learned through the years as the digital media landscape has changed in the decade that I've been teaching this class. So, a student will talk about descriptions and comparisons. Those are in the student's guided notes with the slides in the unit. But then I want them to, in their notebook writing, basically do an imitation of this article, which is from Vox from 2019, called The Best $42.92 I Ever Spent, a handful of junky Forever 21 jewelry. And it's a weird defense of fast fashion, which is intriguing and counterintuitive to what you would expect. But what is really moving about this piece is the author basically describes having to fly in to her home city to attend the sudden funeral of her father, and needing to quickly buy a funeral outfit. And so she went to Forever 21, which doesn't exist anymore now, but went to Forever 21 and got basically fast fashion. And it's about how she really needed something she didn't want to wear again. She didn't want to associate it with this really difficult time in her life. So it's an exploration of that. And then students are going to write in their notebook writing about the best purchase they've ever made. And it doesn't have to be a serious thing like this. My one caveat is they can't write about a pet, because they all want to do that, like paying the adoption fee for a pet, and then they just get boring and monotonous. So that's my only requirement. But so here's the thing. So this article was on Vox, and I've used it since I made this activity in 2019, but you can't just access it freely anymore. So that comes up a lot. Like the New York Times is a payroll. Basically, the only thing that is still free as of right now, and I hope it's free forever, is NPR, and that's where I get a lot of my stuff. But for editorials and so interesting arguments and things like this, I love just to look at other sites. Vox has a lot of interesting stuff sometimes, and you can find appropriate things. But okay, so here are my main strategies for acquiring articles. Number one is, when you do find something that works for your class, download it as a PDF when you can access it, and then save that PDF forever. Another one is, there are some websites like this one, removepaywalls.com, which who knows, by the time you watch this video, that might be shut down. That will just, it's dubious, but it'll lift the paywall and let you view an article without the pop-up ones. It can't do it if you have to buy a subscription and log in, but removepaywalls.com is helpful for some things that from the past that I've wanted to access. I believe students can get certain free articles a month if they use a school login to the New York Times or some news sites like that. But a really big one for me has been, instead of subscribing to several newspapers, I have an Apple product, I have an iPhone, and I first just got a free trial when I bought probably this phone or something to Apple News Plus. And it's not, I think it's $12.99 a month, but there's a ton of reputable news websites that you have access to, and you can read through it on your iPad, on your phone, on your Mac if you have one. And it's nice because you can usually save those or access them to copy paste them, email them to yourself, and then paste them into a doc, and then you can get articles that way. So again, it's not free, you have to pay for it, but maybe you could negotiate with your department chair about getting an Apple News subscription just to source these articles. Otherwise, you're limited to the free public side of things. Even my local newspaper, those articles are behind a paywall, and our news is really slow and doesn't get delivered until a day later now. So it's a little difficult to get those up-to-date things. And in fact, let's open up the conversation. What's the best way that you've found to get news articles for your students to read? Let me know in the comments if you've got some suggestions that'll help other people out too. But these are mine for that. So back to the notebook writing assignment. I have students read this article. I have a PDF of it saved that I formatted and print out for my classes for educational use. And then they pick something that's the best money they've ever spent and write to that. All right, I hope you found that